Hi everyone, at Handiworks today it's all about chain stitches. I've got my dark green fabric already fixed snugly in my wooden hoop. Also stitched a running stitch around the back edge of my fabric within the hoop to keep everything neat and secure. And I'm using my white heat erasable pen to draw our guidelines on the fabric. Since floss usually comes in 6 strands, I'm just going to carefully pull one strand away from the bundle to get my 5 strands ready. Once that's done, just thread your embroidery needle and we're ready to go. Let's begin with the classic chain stitch. Bring your needle up through the fabric. Create a loop with your working thread and hold it down with your thumb. Pull your thread through gently and you've got your first chain link. Continue in this way to create a beautiful linked line. Once you reach the end of your line, simply take a tiny stitch just outside the last loop to secure it, and then knot your thread at the back of the fabric. Our second stitch is the square chain stitch, sometimes called open chain stitch. This stitch is worked on 2 parallel lines. I've drawn them here for my guide. As I demonstrate each step, pay very close attention to exactly where my needle goes down into the fabric and where it comes back up. This creates an open ladder-like effect. Notice the neat spaces created in the ladder, perfect for adding beads or other small embellishments later. You can definitely add tiny beads or even French knots in those open spaces to add extra sparkle or detail. Next up, the twisted chain stitch. I've drawn a gentle curved line for this one, as this stitch looks fantastic along curves. This slight twist gives the stitch its unique rope-like appearance. It's great for outlines where you want a bit more texture than a simple chain. For our fourth stitch, the pendant chain, also known as petal chain stitch, I'm using a straight stitch line as my guide. As I demonstrate each step, pay very close attention to exactly where my needle goes down into the fabric and where it comes back up. This stitch creates lovely elongated petal shapes. You can easily adapt this stitch to follow a curved line too, which adds even more movement. Now let's learn the cable chain stitch using pink floss. This stitch adds a nice bit of thickness and definition to your chain. You need to be aware of the basic chain stitch to do this one. The key here is the way the thread is wrapped around the needle during the stitching procedure. They're perfect for adding decorative borders, creating unique outlines, or even filling in shapes. Our sixth chain stitch is the zigzag chain. Bring your needle up, make a loop, insert your needle back down, but bring it up on the opposite side of your line, catching that loop. Then, for the next stitch, you'll swing the needle to the other side of the line, creating a zigzag effect. This is a super fun variation that incorporates the chain stitch in a zigzag manner. It makes for a very playful and dynamic border. Moving on to our seventh stitch, the feather chain. This stitch looks like the long-tailed lazy daisy, but done in a zigzag manner, creating a lovely branching effect. For this one, I've drawn 4 parallel lines to help guide the feathers on both sides. This stitch is fantastic as a motif stitch and can be used comfortably for light borders or combined with other embellishments like French knots at the tips of the feathers. Now you can practice these stitches and apply them in so many ways to your embroidery projects. Finally, our 8th and last chain stitch variation is the whipped chain stitch. This stitch uses 2 colors to create a beautiful dimensional effect. First, you'll stitch a line of regular chain stitch, just like our first stitch. I'm using dark orange and weave it through the existing chain stitches. This process whips the second thread around the first, creating a lovely textured and two-tone chain. Remember to experiment with different thread colors and strand counts for each stitch to see how it changes the look. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of chain stitches. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Handiworks for more stitching inspiration. Happy crafting!